longer about winning the channel, it's about winning your customer. Too often, brands optimize for individual platforms without considering the bigger picture. Today's consumers move seamlessly between channels. If we reach the right audiences with the right message and high-impact creative, we lift all ships. The brands that break down silos and adopt an integrated, customer-first approach will drive real, measurable growth. That's a quote from Sammy Rubin, VP of Integrated Media at Wpromote, and a sneak peek at today's episode. Hey there, I'm Kerry, revenue growth consultant, industry analyst, and host of Revenue Boost, a marketing podcast. In every episode, I sit down with top experts to bring you actionable strategies that drive real results. So if you're serious about growth, hit subscribe and stay ahead of your competition. In this episode, the future of integrated media, smarter digital marketing for revenue growth, I sit down with Sammy Rubin, VP of Integrated Media at Wpromote. We discuss the evolving landscape of digital marketing and how business leaders can optimize media strategies for sustainable revenue growth. With budgets tightening and expectations rising, business leaders must rethink how they allocate marketing dollars. Sammy emphasizes the need for brands to unify internal teams, leverage data-driven decision-making, and test integrated strategies that align with the evolving consumer behaviors to drive sustainable revenue growth. Be sure to stay to the end when Sammy shares what you need to start optimizing integrated media ASAP. Are you ready to take your marketing strategy to the next level? Let's go. So welcome, Sammy. Please introduce yourself and share your background and expertise.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm Sammy Rubin, VP of Integrated Media at Wpromote, which is a leading independent marketing agency. We do everything from consumer insights and category intelligence to media planning and buying. Everything we do is underpinned by industry leading intelligence, and we have an amazing creative team as well. So can really support clients to achieve their business goals through all things that we do. And in my role, VP of Integrated Media, I oversee the teams that are developing the strategies for integrated strategies for our clients, everything from CPG clients, retail clients, entertainment. And in my role, I have the privilege of being a part of those teams and helping to guide, what we go to market with. Just for some more background about me, I've been on the agency side my whole career and have had the, again, amazing privilege to work with some amazing brands, disruptor brands like SoulCycle, Yasso frozen Greek yogurt, which is always stocked in my freezer, and then Fortune 500s like Nike and Warner Media. And I started as a paid search manager, which is, it's been a really amazing journey going from a single channel into an integrated media leadership role. And it's been amazing to see how media has evolved over the years and how having an integrated media lead on your business as a brand is a no-brainer to help have that holistic view of how all marketing investments are helping to achieve all business results, which is what we're all rallying around today.
Thanks, Sammy. I'm so excited to have you and learn about what you're seeing and hearing and doing these days. And we're such kindred spirits as well. I mean, I also grew up in the performance media world. I actually started as an SEO manager because when I started, paid search was still new. But yeah, you're right. Like there's been so much evolution and the channels are changing, getting smarter, and you need to have, to your point, you can't just have a single channel approach or strategy. So I love your integrated media role. So tell us, like, you must get to see it all. Like, what are the trends that you're seeing these days?
Yeah. So my focus over the past 18 months or so has really been around commerce. And there's a lot of definitions of commerce in the space right now. But what I mean by that is partnering with brands that have direct to consumer objectives, whether it be e-commerce or their own brick and mortar stores, as well as retail. Yes, Amazon, but also through wholesale relationships for broader retail e-commerce and in store. And when it comes to commerce, what we're finding, back to the point of integration, is it's really no longer about winning the channel. It's about winning the customer. And when I say channel, I mean media channel, but also the sales channel.
Mm-hmm.
Our clients have sales objectives across different retailers, across all their points of distribution for that matter. But if we do our jobs right as marketers and we are effectively reaching the right audiences, right message, high impact creative, it will lift all ships. And we have the data that proves that. And our own behaviors, you and me, like we're searching on social media, we're pre-validating in-store purchases on Amazon or Reddit before, taking that next step. So it's really important as brands that we're thinking customer first. Where are we showing up? What's the creative that we have in market, which is more critical than ever before. I think the latest eMarketer stats are we're spending over 13 hours a day with media as adults in the US. So from a creative perspective, I know it's a lot. It's like, what else do you do?
It's a lot.
You sleep.
All our waking hours.
I know I get 8 hours of sleep every night. All of my trackers tell me that. But so if we're spending that much time with media, exposure is no longer sufficient. And we really need to be thinking about driving engagement. And that's where creative is the new media targeting, the new media strategy. For a lot of environments, the meta algorithm, over 50% of what you pay is based on your projected creative engagement, and other factors related to creative. So as brands, showing up in all those different places and not knowing where someone might discover you, having that consistent brand experience is so critical because the customer is bouncing from place to place. And advanced measurement plays a big role in that too, right?
Yeah.
Consumers are going to purchase wherever they want, whether, it's convenient to them to shop on Amazon or on TikTok. We're launching TikTok shops for a lot of our clients. But having that integrated approach to measurement across all tactics and market really helps bring those insights that looking at silos, presents blind spots for. So we see all the time, like a CTV campaign that we do for a client or a social program that might be funded by D2C or D2C marketing teams, drive sales at Walmart or drive sales in store at Amazon. And that's because to the customer or potential customer, the nuances are irrelevant, unless it's a specific offer, right? So like we're building high velocity media mix models for our clients. Our proprietary tech platform is called Polaris, and we have all of our data foundational, reporting in there. We have our media mix models in there, incrementality test design. And that's really helping to showcase the impact of all of these different media activities on all different types of outcomes. And, we might find that a channel in isolation isn't driving direct sales, but that doesn't mean that it's not influencing the path to purchase. And that's where, again, going back to customer first media versus channel first media, and looking at impact of media to different sales channels is super critical.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I love everything you said because it's that holistic experience, as you pointed out, like the customers, they don't care if it's Meta or Google, and they probably won't even be able to tell you where they first had that exposure. And I was having I just recorded another episode that was talking about media mix modeling and attribution, and his point was, we're going back to measuring impressions and the importance of impressions, and to your point, the creative, because it's provoking that emotional response and getting them to take an action. But you can't control the action they take. We just have to make sure we're out there, that our brands are out there and engaging and driving them to that conversion. So,
and I think it's the reframing of what are those high intent actions that are being taken? Like, are we seeing an increase in our Instagram profile views or our organic social video views as a proxy for site traffic or intent? For a lot of, audiences, especially Gen Z, social media is the new website. So
Yeah.
how are we reframing the signals that we look at to
Hmm.
determine if something is working, and then be able to incorporate that into our measurement strategy?
Yeah, no, it's such a valid point too. And the other aspect you brought up was retail media. And I know when you and I both started in this space, retail media wasn't a thing. And now not only is it a thing, but it dominates strategy and investment dollars. So kind of talk about how like you're taking that shift into consideration for your client strategies.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if we look at the projections in the marketplace for retail media investment growth over the next 5 years, it's astronomical. And it's really because with all of the retailers being retailers turned media conglomerates, which is smart, right?
Yeah.
They don't just want a bigger piece of what was traditionally the retail media budget. They want a
Hmm.
bigger piece of the total marketing budget. And because of
Right.
that, all of these offerings for each of the retailers now includes things like influencer marketing and offsite paid search through Google and TikTok campaigns where you can use first party retail data and closed loop measurement. All of this retail media is really just media. So there's
Yeah.
a lot of cannibalization in those projections. And as marketers, we know that it requires more than retail media to drive retail results. There's a place for retail media, no doubt.
Yeah.
Discoverability across all of these retail environments starts with search. So
Yeah.
sponsored ads, we have to be there with the right strategy and the right messaging,
Hmm.
compelling offers, what have you. But for decades, brands have been investing in bigger brand total marketplace, awareness campaigns that have resulted in driving sales to, you know, D2C and through all of their retail doors. And that still holds true. And clients are now, coming to us as their agency partners saying, where should I be investing to drive retail results? Should I be taking these dollars and investing it directly with that retailer? Or should I be looking at my broader media mix and trying to find ways that I can drive multiple objectives, drive
Yeah.
my awareness objectives, my D2C objectives, and my retail objectives? We just wrapped an activation for a client looking to drive sales at a certain retailer, and based on their budget we decided that running a matched market test, coming up with markets that we were exposing with media, markets that we were holding out with media, based on a variety of factors, BDI, so brand demand index, number of stores in a given market, historical sales volume, and running different types of social activations in those exposed markets. And we drove measurable lift, anywhere from 10 to 20% lift in those markets that we activated, in terms of driving sales at retailers, at retail doors in those market clusters. And it
Wow.
wasn't retail media, it was media in
Yeah.
service of driving retail. And it's not to
Yeah.
say that we wouldn't have achieved that by investing those dollars through those retail partners directly,
Mhm.
but there are multiple ways, to achieve those objectives. So we're constantly, testing to see what works for our clients. What works for one brand might not work for another. But yeah, with everything being retail media,
Yeah.
it's the role of an integrated media strategist to figure out what are the right places and spaces for us to activate, and how do we hold those dollars accountable to achieving those objectives.
Hey everyone, it's me, Kerry Curran. If you're a B2B company that sells to marketers, whether you're an agency, MarTech, or AdTech, and your revenue is either flattening, declining, or just not growing fast enough, I can help. I've spent my entire career selling, marketing, and servicing marketers, so I know firsthand the challenges they face, the buying decisions they make, and what actually moves the needle. The truth is, most marketing strategies aren't built for revenue growth, but mine are. As your fractional chief growth officer, I'll bring revenue-focused marketing strategies designed specifically for selling to marketers, deep expertise in agency, MarTech, and AdTech buying behaviors, modern go-to-market strategies that include everything from brand awareness to driving loyalty and retention, and a track record of doubling and even tripling revenue for B2B companies just like yours. So if you're tired of your stagnant results and you're ready to build a marketing engine that actually drives revenue, let's talk. Visit revenuebasedmarketing.com or connect with me on LinkedIn to schedule a consultation. Together, let's build a smarter, more profitable path forward. RBMA, Revenue-Based Marketing Advisors, we're revenue-based marketing that works. Yeah, no, it's, I love that example and the kind of market testing, because it's all budgets are getting smaller, and we're all expected to do more with less. So it's driving the effectiveness and the efficiency, and to find out how to do it. And to your point, it's, if you don't have the budgets, to just dump it all into the retailer, getting smarter and more strategic. So I love that example, and so much of it revolves around the consumer behavior and what they're going to do. So I know this is kind of a big change for clients to think, to your point, more about consumer behavior versus kind of channel targeting. So how are you kind of educating your clients and really pushing for that integration?
Yeah, depending on the brand, the internal organizational structure could vary drastically, even for
Yeah.
brands within the same vertical or
Mhm.
of the same size. So,
Yeah.
perfect example, we have CPG brands that have a D2C marketing lead and a retail marketing lead. We have brands that we partner with that have a D2C marketing lead, a retail e-commerce lead, and a shopper lead. Or we might have a brand that has a brand marketing lead, a performance and growth marketing lead, and then a retail lead.
Yeah.
So there's no standardization in terms
Yeah.
of what teams are working on driving which commerce objectives. But
Mhm.
in each of those scenarios, what we're finding and what is required is an integrated media mix to drive those different commerce objectives, whether it be direct to consumer, e-com, in-store, retail e-commerce, retail in-store. So all of these teams are starting to circle around the same types of media platforms, creative
Yeah.
messages that they want, but in service of achieving those different financial goals tied to, those different points of commerce.
Yeah.
And when that happens, like, resources are duplicated,
Yeah.
creative production multiplies.
They
And
start
there's
competing with each other.
Yup. And I don't know what the incentivization structure is behind
Yeah.
that, which probably plays a role in terms of, who's wanting to take over what. But there's also blind spots in the measurement when there's
Yeah.
no unification or transparency of, the data or activation schedules. Simple things like calendars of things going live. Oh, the D2C team is running a massive CTV activation here. The folks that are managing the Amazon retail media program or the brand search program, if that's managed through a performance team versus a brand team, those
Yeah.
seem to be throttling up their investments to capture that demand. Making sure that we have, remarketing audiences set up so that we can re-engage. And those types of synergies are required in order to find marketing efficiency and the overall dollars that you have in market. And that requires, that unification. And I won't sugarcoat it. It's definitely challenging work,
Yeah.
especially, a lot of brands have legacy structures, long established ways of working, but the data doesn't lie. And
Yeah.
if there is a single point that all of these different marketing stakeholders are laddering up to, that's the person who cares about this, right? It's
Mhm.
the CMO, it's the VP of marketing, it's, whatever the role is within that organization who wants the CFO obviously cares, right? How can I make more out of my investment in market and find those efficiencies or incremental value? So we're building the operating models to unify these teams internally on the client side across planning, what are the different goals, product priorities, budgets, audiences. In a lot of cases, that's all going to be different, right? Offers too, but
Yeah.
coming together to have an integrated planning session of, here are all the things that we're planning to do in market. How can we, calendarize this so that
Yeah.
we can really draft off of the impact of our combined efforts and maybe figure out where certain things should shift in terms of like ownership or where things should live. Everybody activates against the media that is relevant for their specific objectives.
Mhm.
And then from a measurement perspective, report on those goals, but also come together to do more integrated reporting and measurement. What's the halo effect of, different types of tactics on driving different points of commerce. We know, when we scale back social for a retail client, the Amazon team said, "Hey, we had a bad week last week. What happened?" Well, oh, okay. These
Yeah.
teams weren't talking, and didn't really understand the relationship between the social media and market and different distribution, different types of commerce performance. So
Mhm.
it's so important to use data as a unifying factor, which seems so obvious and so silly. But really building that data foundation is so critical.
Yeah. Well, and no, I've seen what you're talking about. When the internal teams aren't all kind of sharing their strategy and like so we competing, or there's not alignment. Bringing that consultative approach and that organizational framework and data framework to your clients must be so valuable to, again, going back to the effectiveness and efficiency of making sure that they're understanding the impact that their investments across channels is having on the growth. So I love that you have that opportunity and that your clients are listening and helping, or working with you to help them get more effective, because I know how challenging that can be. And so you have a kind of a solution as well to kind of bring that data all together. So talk about kind of the data platform that you're sharing with them.
Yeah. So internally at Wpromote, our proprietary tech platform is called Polaris, which serves as the foundational place for all of our just standard media reporting. We
Mhm.
have over 100 API connections with a variety of different media, but also data sources. And we're using that to build, integrated data taxonomy, not the shiniest of conversations, but
Mhm.
super important so we can at least start to see all of our data in one place. And then on top of that, we can start building all of these different types of analyses, media mix modeling, building incrementality test design, and also doing scenario planning. If we were to launch this media channel or scale back here, or if our revenue target increases, or we get an additional cash infusion from a budget perspective, how can we best optimize our investments in order to drive that growth? And even better, once we have that in place, we can start incorporating things like pricing data,
Mhm.
promotional data for enhanced modeling, and to start to understand the difference in how media versus price or distribution can be a lever in achieving those goals, which again is more of the sprint from like a crawl walk run perspective, but is very attainable so long as we have all of that data in one place. And back to the role of the integrated media lead, when I came to Wpromote in 2020, one of my first priorities was helping to build our media strategy department so we can address the client need for achieving a holistic business result. And it's one thing from an integration perspective to have integrated measurement and a presentation of insights and plans, but to actually move dollars and be a steward of budget across the entire media mix is so
Mhm.
critical. So our media strats, play that leading role in addition to being tip of the spear for all things innovation. So it's really exciting through a combination of our people, but also our tech and our processes. We're able to help our clients in this way.
Yeah, it's so valuable. And as you're talking, I'm just thinking about the not only the evolution of the channels that we buy media or optimize media for, but the evolution of the data and how it really helps marketers get smarter and brands target their audiences better and get more out of their investments. So this is so helpful. Thank you for sharing all of your expertise. So for the people listening that want to get started, like what's your first step that you'd recommend for brands that want to get smarter about how they're optimizing and measuring their media
Yeah.
and integrating, I should say. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say step one is have a conversation with all of your, counterparts internally that have different marketing investments, marketing priorities, underneath their scope of roles and responsibilities, so that you can get a full picture of all media in market, or all media that is being planned to be in market, to
Mm-hmm.
start to understand, are there synergies, right? We have an opportunity to unlock value by integrating investments in the same media partner, but that might be placed by 2 or 3 different teams within an organization. So what's our plan, right? So
Yeah.
bringing those teams together, have the conversation, and also starting to build integrated media reporting. Doesn't have to be through API connections and starting to do all the modeling right on day one, but what are all of the KPIs that the different teams are optimizing towards, planning towards? How are you attributing impact to all of your media investments, and being able to start to identify trends of, oh, well, we did see a good week 2 weeks ago. Oh, this team over here was running a larger CTV activation. I guess that makes sense, right? Now let's start to do the causal impact modeling to see if there's a more than a directional, relationship between these different, inputs and outputs. So data foundation, but really before that, conversation, to
Yeah.
bring teams together to at least know what's everyone working on, and how
Yeah.
can we help each other.
I love that. Sammy, thank you so much. So, this has been super valuable. I've learned something, and it's always good to stay up to date and with all of the latest and greatest. So, how can people find you?
Yeah. LinkedIn, Sammy Rubin, and Wpromote. If there's anything that we chatted about today that sounds interesting, that you'd like to hear more about, feel free to reach out.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Sammy. It was great to have you on, and I look forward to speaking with you again soon.
You too. Thanks so much.
Thanks for tuning in. Are you struggling with flat or slowing revenue growth? You're not alone. That's why Revenue Boost, a marketing podcast, brings you expert insights, actionable strategies, and real-world success stories to help you scale your revenue faster. So if you're serious about growth, hit follow, subscribe, and drop a 5-star rating. It helps us keep the game-changing content coming. New episodes drop regularly. You don't want to miss out. We'll see you soon.